Hey guys, it's your girl Jaylah from Cultura, one of your favorite co founders. And I am here today to bring you the spotlight on our founders, bringing you everything that you need to know on what's coming up next in tech. And today I'm really excited to have one of one of my favorite verticals, which is gaming and sports, everything put together. I want to introduce you guys to Brando from Got Game. Hi, Brando.
Hey, what's going on, Jayla?
How are you doing today?
I'm really excited. Thanks for having me on. I know it's been a while since we've been able to set this up, but it means a lot that you're able to take the time out of your day and give a shout out on Cultura. I love what you guys are doing.
I'm super excited to have you here because, we've been, I think, in a culture where we're raised where, gaming and sports, not unless you're playing it or unless you're like fully committed to it, it's kind of like a waste of time or a hobby. And I love to see that what you're working on is completely changing that lane. So I want you to tell us a little bit more of who Brando is, how he got started, and about the beginning of the Got Game app.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Brando. How's it going, guys? Latino, first time founder, born, raised here in Miami. I went to school at Florida State University. And basically, what we've built here at Got Game is a gamified, scalable video challenge platform for skill based competitions where users can compete for cash prizes, sponsored rewards, or even just bragging rights with their friends, right? And so we have all those submissions reviewed by referees to ensure fairness. We like to think that we're kind of like TikTok and the Olympics had a baby.
That's amazing. You mentioned something that I think is very crucial to, I guess, the credibility, right? Is knowing that you guys have referees, you guys have people with experience, right? That are helping you guys in developing what you're working on. How hard or how has that been in molding Got Game?
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, there's so many different ways to compete, right? And our goal is to one day be able to support all of them. But, what we learned through beta testing is that we're able to currently support three or four versions of competition, right? Different methods. And so essentially, we've hired a team of experienced referees that are used to reviewing via video. And so there's certain limitations in what we're able to support with a video. And if there's anything gray, anything that isn't 100% certifiable via video, then we won't be able to launch and support that. But we do have a collection of different types of methods, and our referees are trained to review those within a week's time to ensure that everyone who is at the top of the leaderboard, who is winning that cash prize or getting those free pair of cleats, actually deserves it. There's no green screens, no uploading allowed on the app. You got to record it directly in there, like the old school Vine, if you will.
How has that made, I think, the difference, right? Because we come from, especially in South Florida, we're building a new ecosystem in tech, whether it's in gaming and ed tech and medical or entertainment. Like there's so much that we're building. How have you like had to navigate through those fine lines? Because I know they're very, it's like walking a tightrope.
Oh yeah.
How have you figured that out so it helps with Got Game and everything that you're working towards?
Yeah, I think anytime you're creating something new, you gotta do some homework, right? You got to know who's done something like this before. Where did they land? How are current people in the market doing it differently? And so, it was a lot of learning, right? From legally, development. How are we able to support this? And technically, since it's not gambling, it is skill based competition, not up to chance, but up to someone's skill. It did kind of pave the way, right? There are certain laws and certain guardrails that we're able to follow, right? Like geolocation. There's only a couple states, it's about six, that don't support the cash prize version of this. So yeah, learning, how do we protect our users? How do we make sure that they uh, are getting what they deserve, right? If they are the most skilled at a competition, and how do we, protect them from, being able to join a competition, right? Whether maybe they're not in the right jurisdiction or the certain age. So putting forth the effort, right, of learning how to do this correctly, ironically, a lot of this stuff, fun fact, comes from um, bowling leagues. The same laws that makes it legal to join a bowling league, pay the join a bowling league, and whoever wins the competition takes home the prize. Is a lot of what the fundamentals and foundation of what we're able to do here at Got Game.
There's a couple points that I actually want to touch on that. First of all, I was on the bowling league in my high school.
Hey, let's go.
Fun fact.
Okay,
Not something a lot of people know about me or would think, but I
let's
love it.
go. I'm gonna see a
But
bowling challenge.
we're gonna do a bowling challenge. I'm gonna take you on that one.
Let's go. Cafe Cultura.
But no, one of the things that I think that you mentioned was that's really important is that there's been a lot of like the comparison with betting, right?
Mhm.
Especially Florida has become one of these states that's slowly opening up to bigger spaces for betting. I
Yeah.
think everybody's always had a betting aspect down here, whether it's fantasy football or, fantasy leagues and stuff like that. How does, like you said, there's a difference, right? It's not a betting site. We see betting everywhere now, right? We were the other day on Netflix watching Jake Paul and Mike Tyson and their overs and unders, which to me was crazy to even like see, but it's actually a thing. So what is the difference between Got Game and the fact that and the gambling side of things?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, just because you brought up fantasy, I do have to add in this quick little story. I mean, part of what made Got Game is that a lot of my friends in my fantasy league, the way we would determine the order was doing some sort of skill-based obstacle course sort of thing when we were together in college. And when we kind of split apart, it became harder to do that, and it didn't really make sense to me that there wasn't a way that we could. We have a camera, we have a backyard, and we should be able to compete against the world from our backyard, and that's what God Game is able to support. And so, in terms of the gambling aspect, we don't like to use the word gambling because it's technically not gambling. Gambling is essentially something that is determined by chance, and because either skill-based competitions, right, and there is no element of chance when it comes to making a basketball, right, to juggling a soccer ball. Things that can be determined by skill are what separates us from, better or Hard Rock Sportsbook or anything that involves betting on something that's essentially out of your hands, right? We bring the game to you, and you're able to put your money where your mouth is.
I think that's really important though that unfortunately we live in a world, especially right now, where there's like some people just need explanations, right? They need to be taught the lay of the land. And
Yeah,
I think that it's important because I would feel like somebody would automatically assume that Got Game was a gambling site rather than what you guys are actually building.
yeah,
So the fact that it is completely different in an aspect, right? It's familiar because it sounds familiar, but it's completely different.
that's
Have you
right.
guys had any real, like, I guess, backlash or headbutts with, the new process of how like things are moving in sporting?
Yeah, so what's great about Gawkim is that we want to make this available for everyone, right? It doesn't matter what your background is, what your gender is, and or who you know. You should be able to compete at the highest level in whatever skill or sport or challenge it is. And so we do have those cash prize challenges, but we also have free challenges, right? If you just want to be the best in your friend group, maybe that's enough for you. Maybe you're the best in Tennessee at something and you didn't even know it. You can launch a free organic challenge and compete in that way, right? It's really the community aspect, right? The cash prize challenges is just a way for us to make some revenue, but we also have the sponsored challenge route, right? So. For example, there's a local soccer shop here, and they want to do the soccer juggle challenge, and so the top, three within their challenge are going to get a free pair of cleats. So, we don't want to limit anyone, right? Just because you don't have the money to spend on a challenge, it doesn't matter. You can compete for free, and it'll always be able to support that at Got Game, and even being able to monetize your abilities, right? Even if it is in the form of a discount or a free pair of or free merch, right? So um, we, while we do have the kind of betting aspect to it, we want to make sure that everyone knows that we support all types of backgrounds and uh, different forms of competition, even if it is for free.
I mean, the way I see it, right? It's like when you go to Dave and Buster's, you pay, you play all these games, and you try to win a big prize, right?
Yeah,
So, in essence, it's like, especially in the economy that we're living in, it's let's be realistic. A $200 pair of cleats is a $200 pair of
hey,
cleats that nobody wants to spend, whether you have the money or
right.
not.
Right. And I think, if you take a look at that a step further, it's like I think this is where it becomes interesting for the B2B to C uh, angle that we have, right? If we have all this data of people that are using certain cleats or certain gear, we are eventually, able to communicate and assess that data and communicate it to brands that we have really big fans of Nike, right? We have big fans of lacrosse brands and Adidas, and we're able to, I think, establish a relationship with brands and consumers in a way that is currently not being looked into.
I know that South Florida is Miami, South Florida, Broward County, Palm Beach County. It's a huge melting pot, but it's way different than bigger markets like Texas, New York, California. I think everybody kind of know where those niches are over there. I think South Florida is just in the tech, at least, ecosystem has
Yeah,
been really expanding in a different level, right?
yeah,
Because we're bringing now people from all of those places down here, but also mixing it with what we already have here. So, how has that been a benefit, or has that hurt, or has it made it harder? Like, where does God Game kind of pull energy from those spaces?
yeah. So a couple of things there. I think it's a blessing to be in Florida, right? Florida is such a melting pot for different forms of businesses, but also different forms of athletes. Mainly because of the weather, right? We're able to play all day because the weather allows us to. It gets a little bit different up north, so that's allowed me to explore different types of communities within the competitive industry. And what do I mean by that? It's everything from skateboarding to basketball to highlight, to soccer, a number of different sports that I've now been introduced to just from starting this in Florida and going to different campuses within Florida and learning from them. So I think the benefits of having a startup in Florida is, you have all these number of different industries, right? Being able to learn from the people within finance and real estate, and now this new tech ecosystem that has been, really supportive, right? Born and raised in Miami. I've lived here a long time. I've lived in Miami long enough to know that not everyone's trying to see you win, right? And so that's something that's been really refreshing about this tech ecosystem in Miami. That is a real thing that is building every year, and now being a part of that and being able to see it grow and hopefully being able to contribute to it for the years to come. It's amazing going to a Tech Tuesday or to a random pitch event, and so many people are supportive. Hi, how can I follow you? How can I connect you with someone that I think would be really good for your team, or a partner that I know, or this investor, so Miami, I think being born here is kind of a hack in that sense because I check LinkedIn and I'm two connections away from so many people that can provide an exceptional amount of value to my startup. So that's the main reason that made me stay in Miami versus going out there to Silicon Valley or New York, where some of my buddies are launching their startups. But there's something special cooking here, and some of it starts at Cafe Cultura, and some of it, is just very much living and breathing.
And first of all, I really appreciate that, because that's one of the things that I think at Cafe Cultura that we really try to bring forward. I think we're used to being the underdogs in where we are as founders, as community leaders, um, and sometimes feeling like we don't have a voice. Like, for me, I'm Costa Rican Salvadorian. You're not going to find like too many of me around, and having that merge between different parties together, and seeing, even like connecting with you, has been such a beautiful thing. Seeing the growth and, like you said, the acceptance in our Miami tech ecosystem. And
Yes.
there's still obviously those foggy, little gray areas that
Yeah.
we have to navigate through. But I think that if you've been in Miami long enough and you're learning a new trade, or you're going into a space like tech,
Yeah.
you're going to start seeing the like the little cross in that road, right? Where it's like, are you
Yeah.
gonna go left or you're gonna go right? And
Yeah.
think the real tech people know that. And like you said, it's so great to see that we're able to now build a different type of community that most bigger states have had for a very long time.
Mhm.
So, with that being said, with Got Game, what I have to ask, I know you mentioned soccer. Soccer was kind of like what you started off with.
Yeah.
What has been the most, because since it's competitive, there's different types of, sports and new sports, because we have the introduction of like pickleball in the last recent years that
Oh
has like
yeah.
exploded. What is, I guess, one sport or one vertical that caught you totally off guard that you were like, wow, this is a thing?
Yeah, like I said earlier, been obsessed with sports since I was out the womb. Played soccer most of my life, still do basketball, attempting to be a golfer. And I actually received collegiate lacrosse offers to play, at a number of different universities. I ended up going a different route and being able to contribute to sports in a different way. And I think through this, through launching God Game and being involved and talking to different forms of competitors, I mean, spike ball, right? I've, learned about what a huge highlight community there is in Miami. I mean, just down the street from my house, there's professional highlight being done. And I didn't know that until a couple weeks ago. So, fingerboarding, tech decks, that's something that I thought was cool in middle school. Turns out there's a huge community of that here, and those people will be on God Game as well. So, I love it. I jumped into this, not knowing what was going to be on the other side of it, but that's been one of the really pleasant surprises. A bunch of Asian thing. Sorry, I don't want to say Asian things, but Asian sports that are now coming and spreading to U.S. Bocce ball, pickleball. My mom's not playing pickleball, so as you can tell, I get fired up when I talk about sports, and if I can facilitate the growth of those, right, and help, build that community, because we built it, for people in those communities, and so learning and assessing what they want from a competition, fun community platform that essentially is a social for sports is what I'm obsessed with, what our team is obsessed with, and why we wake up every morning and work on God Game.
Obviously, this is called the founder spotlight. So, with that being said, as a founder, it's people just think like all of a sudden you have like $1 million in your account,
Oh
and
yeah.
that you have this whole huge team behind you, and that you're doing all these crazy amazing things, but it takes a lot of like blood, sweat, and tears, realistically,
Oh
right?
yeah.
How, as a founder, what have been some of the positive and the negative? Like, what's been some of the challenges that you have had to face as a founder,
Mhm.
especially with a new growing ecosystem? Because it's easy to transplant, right? And go into an existing ecosystem and find your kind of like space.
That's
But
right.
now we're part of the, what I like to call the foundation of what the Miami tech ecosystem is going to be, right?
Mhm.
We're at the forefront of this, not only because we're from Miami or in South Florida, but because now we're also founders and we also have product, and so it's building, right? And I
Yeah.
know that that's been very rare in the past. As a founder, what have been some of your challenges and what have been, I think, some of the good takeaways from it?
Yeah, as a founder, a first-time founder, the highs are high and the lows are low, and I'm sure any founder or any creator or member of a startup can relate to that. But it's all thanks to people like Mayor Suarez, right? People like Melissa Medina with Emerge Americas, or even Eric from Venture Miami. There's so many different ways in Miami that you can get involved, right? Whether you're a founder or you're just someone that wants to be close to the ecosystem, or maybe just a designer, or someone that's looking for a new career path. I mean, I think there's so many awesome, programs that are being invested in and being taken very seriously because of people, like you and me and those names that I mentioned. And so that makes it a little bit less taboo, a little less scary when you go in there and you see people with name tags and people are sharing drinks and laughs and talking about, what they're building. And so I think those were definitely some of the highs that made me as a founder, right? I think a lot of creators can relate to this, where you just have this this self talk, right? And some of that can be negative, right? And you want to have as much positive in there as possible, but when you're able to really get out your shell, right? Gets out of your comfort zone and start testing your app, right? Start testing your ideas and asking people, gathering feedback. To talk about some of the lows, I think it is that holding back on what can be eventually unleashed. And I'm a huge proponent of getting rid of the bad ideas so that you can eventually make good ones. But you can't do that unless you collaborate. So I would urge any founder or creator of any sort to put it out there, right? Start testing it, start talking to people. Don't be afraid of people stealing your idea because it's all about execution at the end of the day. If there is someone who has a similar idea to what we're building, I feel bad for them because we're going to run right over him. So uh, eh, those are the highs and lows. I would say, get involved, get out of your comfort zone, and I think those lows will start to dissipate. It's
I love that. And it takes a certain amount of, like, because it's so easy to fall into imposter syndrome,
yeah.
especially here, right? There's people who have more money or more friends or more capital or more whatever,
Hmm.
and it's easy to fall into that. But that's something that I think is really special about South Florida is that there's a special sauce that you have to thrive down here. You can't
Yeah.
just be like nothing and thrive and fake it till you make it. There has to be some essence of reality, some
Hmm.
essence of like we actually have a product. It's not an idea, it's
Hmm.
actual product. And that's something that I love about Got Game. That you guys work, like you said, everything from tech decks to basketball, soccer, tennis, and all of those in between models. Um, what is a piece, I guess, of advice that you would give up and coming founders? We have a new generation, right? I know I'm part of the millennials, um,
Yeah.
but there's, I have a 10-year-old daughter that she's already looking like, hey, how can I monetize on YouTube? How can I, build this? I want to do that. Like, what advice do you give not only to the younger generation, but the
Hmm.
older generation too, that think that we're stuck? They
Yeah.
think that you can't reinvent yourself. So, like, what is some advice as a founder?
Yeah, I mean, I typically don't like the idea of giving advice or like really receiving it because I think everyone has a very unique way to get to where they need to be. But I can definitely share some words of, things that have helped me, and that's all I can speak to. And I think there's a great quote where it's like, we suffer more in our minds than in actuality, and that's
Oh,
so true. I think a lot of what you know stops some companies or creators from getting their ideas out there is that they don't want someone to call their baby ugly, right? They gotta put it out there. You gotta. It's different. Your mom saying what you're working on is really cool, as opposed to people that fit the demographic, right, and the target. So I think being able to open yourself up as a lifelong learner, right? We are in Miami. We are a new ecosystem. There are some people coming from Silicon Valley and from New York, and we got to learn from the big dogs. They were able to do this in other places that are a bit further along than we are. I think being able to learn from people like Zach Johnson, right? Like the people at Cafe Cultura, like some of the people that are coming down here to Miami, right? Bezos, now Tom Brady is getting involved. How do we learn from people that have done this before and become better at it is definitely one. And two is kind of what I was harping on before, which is, you know, do it, and get some people around you uh, that'll help you do it too, because there are some lows, but the highs are worth it for everyone, and everyone gets to reap. Uh, well, not everyone gets to reap the benefits. Only the ones that really trusted you and supported you from the jump. So, I would say that those are my pieces of advice. Right, get outside of your comfort zone. Uh, be accepting of learning and taking that hard feedback, whatever it might be, because you can only grow from that. You can't grow from comfort. So, um, I don't know if that applies to everyone, but it's something to take into consideration for sure.
I would love for you to share that quote one more time because that was really I'm a quote girl because I
Uh-huh. I
those
love
are the things
quotes.
I remember when I'm like struggling, right? When you're struggling and you need to push through, when you wake up on those hard days where you're like, is this even worth it? Like I'm putting all this time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears. Like, What was that quote again? I need to hear it.
Oh man, there's so many quotes I love. Nothing changes if nothing changes. I think the one that I started with is, "We suffer more." Uh,
Yes.
Something like, yeah, we suffer more in our minds than in actuality, and that's so true. I think
Absolutely. I mean, we're the biggest. I feel like sometimes we are the ones that get in our own ways, right? Because
100%.
we are taught to be perfectionists. We are taught to do everything with a certain intention. I remember my dad telling me, you can't move your left hand without knowing what your right hand is going to react. So it was
Yeah.
always kind of that struggle, right? And then finding a way to melt that with your dreams is not always the easiest thing in the
No.
world because sometimes you have to make a mess. And I
Yeah.
think that they don't get it. Have you had any of those struggles? I think maybe with your family. I know that we come from a Latin background where we're meant to have a 9 to 5, or like the
Oh
goals
yeah.
are a big house and a family and a car and a fancy car. Like that to them is winning,
It
right?
is. It is.
But to us, that's the complete opposite sometimes. So how
Yeah.
do you navigate through that? Because I think that stops a lot of cultural, whether you're Asian or Hispanic or African American, like it's still a hinder in our cultures because that's what's expected.
For sure, for sure. Especially, coming from underrepresented background, like a minority, right? Coming here is such a huge opportunity for people in our family. And so what they, see as success is stability, right? Being able to have that family, being able to support, your loved ones. And I think the way that I'm able to, kind of relate to my family members that are vouching for me to go ahead and maybe start dating a bit more, and maybe start looking for more safe and secure things. They understand that sacrifice is a huge part of their success here, and that's one way that I am able to level set with them. Right, I'm able to sacrifice some of the things that my friends might be doing, or maybe some of even the things that my family was doing when they were my age. But it's all for a bigger goal, and one that we owe to ourselves. Our focus determines our reality, and without giving this a shot, I mean, isn't the ultimate fear in life, at least mine is, to turn 50, to turn 40, or just be at a stage where it doesn't really make sense to, go after that dream anymore. And maybe there isn't an age where that even makes sense. And I'm just speaking from ignorance of my age, but to look back and be like, what if is my ultimate fear in life, and I will never let that be the case, especially with God game.
But I think that's a realistic, like worry, because I think that, like I said, we were kind of raised in that manner of like you have an age limit to certain things and you can't really do much more than that. And by this age, you have to be super stable. And we live in an era where that's almost non-existent, right? Now we get given other opportunities that our families didn't have. Do they always understand it? Absolutely not. And I
Yeah.
think that that's so powerful. And I think these are the stories that we need to continue sharing in order for the younger generations, like my daughter, your future children, her kids, my grandkids, can one day say, grandma did this or mom did that, and it was like she broke barriers. And I think that's really important. And it takes a lot of like courage. It takes a lot of courage in us as founders to create that. And I want to say thank you for sharing your story with us. I know one of the big parts of Got Game is you guys are going through beta testing, right? And
Yeah.
we've talked about that a lot of what you guys use is user based focus kind of groups and things like that. So if people have different sports, whether, yo-yoing, or you said your friend with the Rubik's Cube, how can they get in contact with you to kind of maybe create that side or that vertical of it?
Mhm.
And what would be the best way to go about that?
Yeah, so we have a user centric approach at Got Game, and that's because we are building it for people that are competitive, right? People that do want to shine. Without making it pro, it doesn't mean that you can't compete at the highest level within a certain skill. So I think reach out to us at gotgame.app. Join our website, become a beta tester. And what we do is, usability tests and really speak to influencers, speak to creators, people with 20 followers. It doesn't matter. What we're trying to understand is what they want to see in this platform. And it might be something that we're able to support now when we launch in Q1, but it could be something that we work towards adding, in Q3, Q4, or even in, 2026. So I think when you have, a social media company, right, that is has a user centric approach, you have to learn because the people are going to tell you what they what they want or what they don't like or what they wish was there. And so that has provided the most amount of clarity for our business thus far. And so we look forward to keeping that as a part of our DNA, because at the end of the day, we're building it for competitors. It only makes sense to have those competitors be a part of building it. And so I think that's what a lot of our influencer partners really value about of our relationship, right? They're able to test out the app. They're able to tell us what they like about it or what they wish was there. And um, so, yeah, I think, reach out. I'm on LinkedIn. You can find us on the website at gotgame.app. And love to have a conversation. I'm very communicative. And if I don't reach out to you, it'll definitely be someone on our business development team.
I love that. Brando, what is the future of Got Game? We're at the end. Literally, we're like a month away from 2025.
Yeah.
Just about so. What is the future of Got Game for 2025? Like, what are some insights? Obviously, without not, I don't want you to give it all away, but give us a little bit of a teaser of what Got Game has coming in 2025.
Yeah, I think what I can share is that what we're trying to take over is something that I believe is untapped, which is, becoming a leading platform for skill-based competitions uh, through video challenges, right? There's social media apps, there's fitness apps. We like to think that we're a great marriage between both of them. Um, by expanding our brand partnerships, which is currently something we're doing by offering those sponsor challenges, our B2B2C aspect is going to be, providing a lot of value not only to our users but our brand partners for the future. I think the visual data we gather from our video content are eventually going to be able to power AI referees, right? Not reviewing every single challenge, but certainly some of the more basic ones. Um, and enhancing the engagement and fair play with those referees is going to be one of our uh, crucial parts of growth, I think, and more influencer partners, right? That's who we love right now because they love what we're building, and I love the feedback we get from them. And if we can somehow get their community involved here, they will be our champions, right? The first ones on here, get to rise to the top quicker, but eventually everything will balance out. And I love where we're at right now. I'm going to be honest. So I'm really excited to the new year. I'm really excited to have people join and create new challenges. But the ones we have lined up so far are going to be really fun. So maybe we'll have to talk about that bowling challenge that you and I were talking about before.
Listen, I'm ready to take over the texting competition side of things.
Yeah.
I'm really good at it, by the way. No, but thank you so much, Brando, for spending some time with us. Let everybody know where they can contact you. I know we said it earlier, but I want them to hear it again. So that
Yeah.
way you guys keep building that community. And it's exactly what we want here at Cafe Cultura for our founders to have the opportunity to build and connect with people that probably wasn't a possibility before.
Absolutely, guys. Feel free to reach out. As you can tell, I like talking to people. I am Brando. Hopefully, the only Brando you know. You can find me on LinkedIn, Brando Caviero. I'm sure my name will be at the bottom of this video. And at GotGame, at GotGame.app. That's our social, and then our website. You can reach us at www.gotgame.app. So really, really easy to find us. We're the only Got Game you know as well. So I think it's time to show the world who got game.
Thank you so much, Brando, for being with us today on our founder spotlight for Cafe Cultura. I can't wait to see all the things. You guys are going to see Brando with us. We got a couple of things coming up for 2025 and for Miami Art Week. So you're going to definitely catch him and the Cafe Cultura team all over Miami. Anything tech you need to know? Right here, Cafe Cultura. Brando, thank you so much for being with us. And
Yes, sir.
we can't wait to see what you have coming. We're really
Awesome.
excited.
Thanks so much, Jayla. I appreciate the time.